Alright, let's take a sneak peek at my next project in my garage. Obviously unfinished, mostly. Oh, what do we have here? An aquaponics system. This is what I'm adding to my urban farm. And it's a big project. Not just setting this up, but getting the space ready. This garage pretty much looked like this area over here. Is dark, no insulation, unfinished. I've been adding insulation, like this right here, and sheetrock in this back corner where I'm going to set this system up. I wanted some nice reflective white walls to get the most out of these lights that I installed. Anyway, it's going to be a big project, and I'm hoping to keep things growing around here all year long. Even in the winter, December, January, February, when you can get down to -20 below zero, I want to have lettuce and spinach, maybe tomatoes in here, producing whatever I need. Also, in these tanks, they each hold about 275 gallons. You can have 1 pound of fish per 2 gallons of fresh water. So I'm going to try and have 100 rainbow trout in these tanks. Let them get several pounds in size. Should be awesome once that's going. The next step was to insulate the tanks. I used bubble wrap and the giant saran wrap they use for wrapping pallets. I also connected the two tanks at the base here. Added in an outlet and a coupling, so in case I ever have to detach them, I can. I searched high and low for cheap or free PVC pipe. On Craigslist, I was able to get a bunch, and we have a thrift store that specializes in home improvement here in Idaho Falls. Found a bunch there. Did have to buy a few parts brand new, like these elbows here. But all in all, not too bad. I didn't spend a whole lot of money. As you can see, I got one free 4-inch pipe and then 5 3-inch pipes. A couple of them I had to use a little bit of coupling to connect them. And the next step will be to level this whole thing out, make sure it's fully supported underneath because it's just hanging out here. Part of it will be resting on top of the IBC totes, and then the rest of it will have some sort of support structure down here underneath. Probably wood, although I do have some extra PVC. We'll see what I can come up with. The other thing I added is some shelving over here so I could store my fish food. And on top, I've got this little reservoir. The water from the tank is going to be pumped from there up to the reservoir where I'm going to have some biofilters. And then the water will flow from there to the inlet down there. And then that will flow through all these pipes here and then come out at this end here. I'll use some 1/2-inch pipe to come back around, and it will dump into the tank right there. All done with my piping. Just used 1/2-inch. That's feeding water into my pipes and is taking the water back to the tanks. Just a little pump inside there. And what I did is I put it right there in the center. So as the water flows in, it'll come up to a certain level here at the center. So it sort of creates a dam. So the water is consistent at a certain level inside the pipes. And then that way I don't have to have a really big pump pumping in tons of water. I can keep the pump small, keeps the flow going, and I can reduce the cost of energy to power a big old pump. Next step was measuring it out. I'm going to drill all my holes. These are where the plants are going to go. And I am aiming for a 7-inch spacing. It's time to get cutting. fish have been added. There's a bunch of little trout that are in there. Some a little bit bigger than others. If I were to make a guess, I think I've got about 60. How much they move around, it's really hard to count them and get a precise number. Anyway, have some natural lights added in here along with some grow lights. After I had this set up, I ran it for a couple of weeks looking for flaws and mistakes, and I found some. I had experienced something I was unfamiliar with, head loss, which I'm sure every single engineer is aware of. Basically, the water was coming in faster here through my 1/2 inch pipe than it was leaving from where I had another 1/2 inch pipe. So to solve the problem, I put the whole thing on a slight grade. Basically everything on the left here is a little bit higher, just barely, than the stuff on the right. And I increased the size of the outflow to a 2-inch pipe. And that took care of my head loss. Basically, in every single pot here, I'm using a combination of gravel in the bottom to prevent the vermiculite, which is on top, from seeping out through the little cracks in the pots. And then as long as you're packing the vermiculite nice and tight, it shouldn't come out of the pots when the water flows by it. We already have a couple of little plants that are starting to sprout. You can see them there. There's iceberg lettuce that we have growing right now. And I'm trying to stagger this. I planted a couple of rows a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago I guess, and this week I planted another row of spinach. And next week I'll plant maybe some more iceberg lettuce, and maybe some romaine lettuce, and then maybe some more spinach. But the idea is every week I will have something new. Anyway, this is my aquaponics system. Came together faster than anticipated. It was a lot of fun to make. A quick look at the fish.